Alrighty, now it's time for...
What the fuck? Oh. Coming at you fresh, coming from afar, it's 2c3pod, 2c. But what the fuck?
That was my surprise for you this week.
That's the surprise, and that was so worth it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And this was the one week where I'm like, I'm going to fuck with him. When he hits that beat, I'm going to come in with Mom Spaghetti.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to come in with some Eminem, but hey, damn, man. Well done. That's
yeah, well,
awesome,
guess
man.
what? I got you, motherfucker.
Yeah,
anyway,
you really did. Oh,
this week on
you even-
TCTP DTC.
Do you have it written down?
No, I don't.
Oh, you sneaky bastard.
Anyway, do you want to hear that again?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do it again. Coming at you fresh, coming from afar, it's TCTP, DTC. Oh, I love that. That's
This
my new
week,
favorite.
last week, we went to see the latest kind of not hit film,
Yeah.
Terminator Dark Fate.
Ooh, ominous.
Yeah. Now, me personally, as we've established over the past however many months we've been doing this podcast, I'm a huge fan of
I think we're pushing
futuristic...
6, man.
Yeah.
I really do think we're pushing 6. Thanks for sticking around.
I'm a huge fan of futuristic science fiction, action, horror films, essentially. And
Really?
Terminator is a series I've been a huge fan of for a very,
Yes.
very long time.
Very much so.
Terminator Dark Fate is essentially telling a story which supposedly is a direct sequel to Terminator 2, yet it does have a lot of elements from the other sequels in the series
That's
within
right.
this film.
But
Before we get into the story and our review discussion, essentially, what was your thoughts being a not as much of a Terminator fan?
now
as me.
I have seen them all. I've seen
Yep.
Terminator a few times. I've seen T2 a few more times.
Yep.
I've seen Rise of the Machines maybe once.
Okay.
I can't even remember it.
Yeah.
I've seen Genesis. Is
Yep.
that the... Yeah? I've seen Genesis once at the theaters.
Yep.
Can't
That was
really
the-
remember it.
That was the one prior to this.
Yes, exactly.
Terminator
if
Salvation
they're doing the
was
cliche
another one
Hollywood, which there seems to be 4 of a year now, and
Yep.
cutting that out and forgetting it forever kind of thing.
Yep.
Going off this... Man, okay. So my immediate thought, I've seen this before.
Yes.
Like, I almost everything in this movie, I was like, this is the same story.
And you know where you've seen this before?
T2?
In Terminator 2 and in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah.
This is essentially... They say that they're retconning, the sequels, like Terminator 3, 4, and 5. But essentially, listen, I enjoyed Terminator Genesis for what it was. It's not a great film, and it's not a great sequel to the series, and the casting was
still
way
sat
off.
through it.
Yeah, but I've bought it, and I've watched it several times going, like, this is a fun action movie, and I like the idea of an older Terminator, but this does a lot of similar things, but so much worse. There are some great things in this movie. I don't think this is an objectively bad film in the way that it has great action sequences, the casting is really good, and it's shot really well. It's the story that lets me down big time.
Yes, 100%. I feel like this obviously had the budget. This was obviously acted well.
This was a $180 million film,
Yeah,
I believe.
I would have pegged around 200 or so that sounds exactly right. And you can see it. You can see it. Production values are fantastic. The acting, there is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But it's just the story, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it comes down to. And I'm glad that I had the same views as you, being a hardcore fan. But that's exactly what I picked up as a casual fan of the Terminator series. I'm like, this is the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And there really didn't seem to be any sense of danger because, as with almost all the Terminators, it's all good at the end. Like,
that's right.
There was never any sense of like, oh, they're not gonna end this on an apocalypse,
Yeah. Listen, all right. So to set the scale, essentially, Terminator 1 came out in 1984. That essentially, as I mentioned in our episodes last week, but now we get to talk about it in more depth, being our review of this film. Terminator 1 is my personal favorite in the series because it is a lower budget,
it pushes the limits.
Slasher film. It's a science fiction horror film, and there's this ever present feeling of dread and doom in this, where this fucking unstoppable horror machine will kill and kill and kill and blow away an entire police station of coppers to complete his mission. Terminator 2 obviously had a lot of similar elements, but it was more toned down in terms of like the tone. It was upbeat and a bit more for wider audiences. It upped the ante in so many different ways, and it was a massive, massive success.
Oh, big time.
And that film itself is brilliant.
Absolutely.
But
Jimmy Cameron.
Yeah. Well, he wrote and directed Terminator 1. This is his baby.
Yeah. But this was him like announcing himself almost as like a big deal.
That's correct. The problem that all of the other Terminator films have is that apart from Terminator Salvation, that's the one where it's the future war and they actually tried to show.
Wait, was there one that I missed?
So there was Terminator 1, 2, 3.
Rise of the Machines?
Yep. And then there was Christian Bale's.
Genesis?
No. Genesis.
What's Genesis?
Which one are you? So Genesis.
Is Genesis a game?
No, Terminator Genesis was the one prior to this in 2016 where Arnold Schwarzenegger is the older T-800.
Oh, shit, I haven't seen that. I didn't know that existed.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So Terminator Salvation
news.
Terminator Salvation was set in the same continuity as the first 3 films, and it was set in the future war. And I think like that film, I feel like cinematically is really good. Like a lot of people will disagree with me, but I think like the Terminators themselves looked really cool. The world was cool, but there was just a lot of downtime, which people felt a bit boring.
Yes.
But I personally really enjoyed it.
Yep.
But the problem with Terminator 3, Terminator Genesis, and Terminator Dark Fate is that they all follow the same story elements that Terminator 2 did, which means there was a protector of the future, whether it be John Connor or this new Danny character. A evil Terminator was sent back in time through Skynet, or in this case, because it's an alternative timeline, Legion.
Yes.
And also a protector Terminator is also sent back to protect this person against it. And it's always like a more dangerous version is sent back to kill, and a lesser version is sent to protect. Somehow the lesser version Terminator or
always
robot
wins.
always comes out on top. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that they're trying to redo the one that was successful.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why people are sick of this franchise and sick of these retreads of the same film they've seen 100 times before.
No, that's right. And I feel like, okay, so if we're using another modern example of this, eliminating past sequels and just saying it's a direct sequel, Halloween at the end of last year.
Yep.
See, that worked.
Yeah.
And they followed the same formula.
Yes.
Why is horror different to now action?
Well,
why is that okay? And it turned out to be a pretty damn good film.
Yeah.
But then this comes out and it's just boring.
You know why I think this could have worked in the same vein as the Halloween reboot of a sequel?
Yes, yep.
Is if they turned this into a horror film and went back to Terminator 1. Now, I've got it written in my notes here that I think this movie... All right, so... Speculation, I've got to read this word for word. I wrote this on the way home from the gym this afternoon. Speculation says that this is the last Terminator film they'll ever make because the box office, this movie is bombing hard. If this is ever to come back, give it to Jason Blum.
Oh, okay.
Give the franchise to Jason Blum. This franchise needs to stop making Terminator 2 again and go back to Terminator 1.
Yes.
That film is brilliant, and it's a lower scale, it's a smaller budget, and it's terrifying.
You don't need all those effects that they had. You don't need huge green screen effects and CGI and all that.
You need a person who is in great danger, who's had this haunting
being hunted.
Yeah, by this unstoppable, unthinkable killing machine.
Yes.
Terminator Dark Fate does the same that Terminator Genesis does, where the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is not only the comic relief of the film, which is, but he also develops what he considers some kind of conscience, when in reality, robots, unlike human beings, they cannot grow, they cannot expand because they are limited to the capacity that they are built.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what really killed it for me. But my standout for this film is Linda Hamilton.
Man,
as Sarah
still
Connor.
Got it, man.
Fair enough, this movie was dumb and the story is shit. I think she, as Sarah Connor, was fucking brilliant.
She basically is the same character. Like, it's not like she had to turn on an acting button to do it. It's like she is Sarah Connor. Yeah. Like, she really was phenomenal.
As many story flaws as this film had, I think her as this character was really,
now, I really want
good.
to discuss the opening scene.
All right, so from here on out, that's been our review. Terminator Dark Fate's pretty rubbish, but it's got some good moments. Spoilers.
Yeah, but
from here on out.
I know it's a spoiler because it's in the movie, but it's literally the first 2 minutes.
Okay, so I've got a lot of things I want to say about this film, which is going spoiler territory.
Why not? We've never done this before, but yes, from this point on, there will be spoilers. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you go and have a look at the movie. Come back and hear what we have to say. But Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Big Summer Blowout, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thanks for tuning in. Now, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for Terminator Dark Fate.
The opening scene.
Yes.
Okay? Was that amazing de-aging when Arnie fucking murdered John Connor?
Yes.
As Edward Furlong. Did he get a credit for that?
Edward Furlong did.
He did?
Yes.
Because that was amazing.
Yes.
That looked legit, man.
That
you
looked
had
really
young
good.
Arnie as the young T-800?
T-800, yes.
Yep. And Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, looking that young, and then murders amazingly looking young Edward Furlong.
Yeah, so I found that
awesome.
I found that kid on Instagram, and he, without the de-aging effects, looks like a young John Connor. They didn't really need to do anything.
So they
to
just
that.
kind of tweaked it a little bit, added the CGI a little bit, to put Edward Furlong young. Yeah.
But for me, so the opening scene where they're on a beach after the events of Terminator 2, where another T-800 pops out of nowhere and just blows John Connor away. Fair enough, this is supposed to be the sequel to Terminator 2, but that really undoes everything that Terminator 2 does.
Yeah.
It punches you right in the face. Yeah. But that's also my favorite and least favorite part of the movie. Reason being, that could have led into a brilliant story. And what I'm going to say is going to be a massive spoiler. So I've got it written here, and I'm going to read it word for word.
Before you do that, I just want to say, I completely forgot what I was going to say. So, carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So in this film, they do essentially save humanity.
Yes.
And now there's an alternative future, which is where this Terminator Rev 9 comes back from. But there's a new future...
Legion?
Yeah. There's a new future warrior which leads to... No, I'm talking about the leader of the resistance.
Oh, my
it's
apologies.
no longer John Connor. It's now this Danny character.
Yes.
Which is obviously... They literally say in the film, oh, you're the new John Connor. I think if they're going to follow the same route of killing John Connor in the opening moments... What I think this movie should have been, get rid of the Danny character. Yeah. Get rid of the new alternative John Connor. Okay, so this is what I got here. What I think of this movie should have been, get rid of the Danny character because this is their way of making alternative John Connor to an alternative universe. Make the film that John Connor was killed and the new leader who inspired millions all over the world, who the Terminator was actually sent back for, Sarah Connor. Make her... the leader of the resistance, because augmented human sent back to protect Sarah Connor in her and lead her to the Terminator which killed John Connor. So in this movie, the older T-800 played by Arnold Schwarzenegger is the one who killed John Connor. That story element can still be there, but get rid of this whole idea that he developed a conscience because that's dumb, and that he becomes this Carl character.
Absolutely.
He felt bad about it.
He fucking what did he do? Curtains? He was drapes. Drapes. He was a drape guy. What the fuck?
Yeah. If he was if all of the T-800s that Skynet would have sent back to finish the job, they would have all done the same thing. They're programmed to learn and develop conscience, well, war over. They fucked up.
Exactly.
So, let's say, for example, he killed John Connor. He powers down and he's just existing on the planet somewhere as a out-of-battery Terminator.
He's dormant.
Let's say, for example... In Terminator 2, Sarah Connor knows how to reprogram a Terminator because she literally does that in Terminator 2.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, the Mackenzie Davis's character comes back to protect Sarah Connor.
Yes. Yep.
They find this dormant Terminator who has aged, but he's just powered down, reprogram him to help Sarah Connor and this new augmented human against the Rev 9 or some other threat.
Yeah.
That's where I would have gone with this.
Hollywood.
Don't worry about Danny being the new savior of the universe or savior of the world. Leave it up to Sarah Connor.
One big thing that really pissed me off with that is old mate who came back to help. I can't remember her name. Mackenzie Davis. Yes.
Yeah, I thought she was good.
She was good. Yeah, I've got no problem with the acting in this movie at all. Yeah. But she says that she comes from 2042, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah,
2042 or so. So about like 20 years in the future. When they cut to the future scenes as Danny after she's like revealed as the big heroic leader of the resistance, she's literally the same fucking age. And she's talking to a kid, Mackenzie Davis. Yeah. I'm sorry, but like that could
have been filmed differently.
That could have just... if you're going with that and you're going to tell me that there's like jump cuts to 20 years later, starting the resistance or being the resistance, blah, 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 don't tell me she's exactly the same physically. Like that, I mean, you just had awesome de-aging CGI in the opening scene, but you can't. You just have her put some dirt on her face.
Not only that too.
I'm sorry.
But the transition...
It's basic.
The transition of the physicality from Sarah Connor from Terminator 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Like, she was like a waitress.
Yeah.
A young waitress, unfit.
Yeah.
You know, pretty average kind of physique. Terminator 2, she was this hardened warrior. You know, that's someone you can buy as the leader of the resistance if her son didn't make it. That's what I'm saying this alternative sort of story could have been. This Danny character, they could have had a different actor play her, or maybe de-aged her, maybe made her a bit taller, a bit more gruffer.
Yeah,
but
exactly. No, that's right. So. And, there's a lot of flaws in this movie, but I mean, okay, all right. Highlight of the film. Highlight
of the film, as I mentioned, the opening scenes.
That's mine too.
So and the opening scenes.
Do you remember what we said when we were sitting there watching it?
That
movie ended. And I'm pretty sure you turned to me and said, "I wish it ended now," because we just knew it was going to be shit and all downhill. And 100%, that opening scene happens. It's like, whoa, like a big shock and awe straight off the bat.
Yeah,
and then everything else is just happens.
Yeah. Like, obviously, killing John Connor is a slap into the face of Terminator 1 and 2.
Big time.
But if they directed the rest of the movie in the way that I said it could have, I think it would have made a much better story.
I feel like they
could. That's why it's the best and worst, because it's the worst because it led to the story that happened.
I feel
it's
like
the best because it could have been so much better.
I feel like that might have been a lot of Hollywood producers not having faith in Linda Hamilton and Arnie basically leading the movie the whole time. They need these young upstarts in there, Mackenzie Davis and whoever played Danny. I apologize.
I don't know her name. Yeah.
Oh, it's right here.
I still would
Natalia Reyes.
I still would have been happy as Mackenzie Davis's augmented human to come back to protect Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the Danny character. There's no need for another John Connor. That's pointless, and it undermines everything that we learned about Linda Hamilton's character as Sarah Connor in the... Anyway.
100%. But I will say as well, you mentioned it as well, Arnie's character as the T-800, learning the conscience and blah, 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 and helping Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
With the text messages and the fucking latitude, longitude, the locations to go. I just felt like that was all like, oh, we need a reason. We need an excuse, and it was just kind of penciled in, and it just felt so fucking weird.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger played an aged T-800 in the previous movie Genesis. He played what they called the Guardian, and Sarah Connor in that movie called
Holy shit, I have seen that.
Yeah.
I went to the movies and saw that.
Yeah.
That's how forgettable it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he played an aged Terminator who was called Pops, but only because that's what she called him.
Yeah.
Because in that movie, he was basically her dad, but he didn't grow a conscience, and over time, he was still a hardened Terminator.
Yes.
He develops a conscience. So I feel that Terminator Genesis did the T-800 better than this film because he was considered the Guardian and he was still a T-800 right the way through.
Yeah.
He had a bit of a bit of fatherhood at the very end where he said, "Take care of my Sarah." Like, I get that, but he's had years to develop that kind of learning ability. But to develop a conscience, develop a conscience, have a dog and a family, and a draping business. He could have done anything.
Yeah,
he could have I don't know.
Not only that, Carl. That's the name you pick, Arnie. That's the name that's gonna. Oh no, but anyway, least favorite, as many as there are. Least favorite part of the movie.
Least favorite part of the movie.
I know mine. Please don't be mine.
Well, I'm not going... I've already said, the best and worst being the opening scene.
Of course.
Other than that...
There's one moment that just,
I leaned over to you and went, ugh.
Yes. I think
when Linda Hamilton, the first words that comes out of her mouth, "I'll be back."
Oh, yes. But leaning into that, my least favorite moment, when Arnie turns to Sarah and says, "I won't be back."
Oh, yeah.
I know. I'm like, you are forcing this.
Yeah.
There's nothing natural about this story anymore.
As much as I loved Sarah Connor's character and Linda Hamilton playing this character, there was no need to shoehorn that in.
Yeah.
Just like these, comedy-driven scenes with Arnold Schwarzenegger being the T-800 and playing off those jokes. There's no need for any of that.
That's right.
When did you laugh in Terminator 1?
No, that's right. Exactly. They've lost the fact that these are supposed to be movies, not fucking pop culture references.
Yeah, that's correct.
They're not meant to be niche, you know, they're not meant to be funny on themselves or aware of themselves.
You know, another thought I had about this film in particular is that all of these reboots and remakes and sequels to older franchises that we know and love over the years are just bad covers of their originals.
Yeah. That's a very good way of putting that.
They're just trying to tap into what was great once upon a time and it doesn't quite hit the mark.
Yeah, that's right. And
so, if Hollywood, if you're listening, coming from a genuine Terminator fan, if you want to rebuild the franchise, lessen the budget to like $50 million and make a horror film. If you want to try and if you want to try and retread a Terminator franchise, go off T1. Look at what made that one so great and try that again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But
it's hard to be original these days, so just try that again.
I feel like 185 million. Is that what?
Yes,
roughly?
And it's set to lose $100 million in terms of like the box office
overall. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think currently it stands at 123 million. It's been out for almost 2 weeks at this stage.
Yep.
Man, that's bad.
This franchise is terminated.
Yes, it won't be back.
It won't be back.
Yeah. No. Yeah. This movie pretzel rating. Oh wait. Yeah, no, I said my least favorite moment.
Yep.
My least favorite moment was paying to see this.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, like, I mean, I couldn't even shut my brain off because they kept referencing themselves.
Yeah.
And it just turned me off. But pretzel rating, man, like, it's stale.
Yeah, it's a stale.
I don't want it.
That's exactly all right. So, if you have a legitimate pretzel, this is a stale pretzel.
Exactly.
Because it's a stale franchise.
Yeah, but I didn't even get to bite into it because I could on the table and know that it was stale.
Yeah.
So I really shouldn't have even nibbled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been Two's Company, Three's a podcast. We greatly appreciate everybody listening.
Yes.
And that's been our review discussion of Terminator Dark Fate. We hope there's some people out here who enjoyed the film. And,
of course.
I just hope that there's going to be a positive revival one day, but it doesn't look like it.
When I say I regret paying to see it, I still love going to the cinemas. Make sure you support your local cinemas. It doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad film. It's always a good time. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, like, I've never walked out with a bad taste in my mouth.
That's right. But
unless everybody... the popcorn's shit, but it never is at Glendale.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in to Two's Company, Three's a podcast. We are also known on Instagram and Twitter as @2c3pod nowadays.
That's right.
So give it a Google and you'll find all of our stuff across the internet. So
we're available, of course, every week, twice a week on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Big Summer Blowout.
If you want to send us an email, Two's Company, Three's a podcast @gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on certain things. If you want us to review a film of yours, a favorite of yours, let us know. Drop us a line.
I would be all for that. Absolutely. Drop us a line at 2's-company-3's-podcast @gmail.com. You just said that?
Yep.
That's right. And I can't remember what part we're up to now because we don't.
Anyway.
We don't rehearse. Why did we rehearse this last bit?
Anyway.
I'm trying to read the notes. They're not there.
My name is Dylan, as always, along with my co-host,
Mitchell. And we are Two's Company and you are the podcast.